Just a quick update, the Patreon page is now live. The link will be down below if you want to check it out. You'll have access to all of my betting packages and much more. Thanks again for all the support, but for now, let's get into the video.
Yo, what up guys, we're back, and this week it's for the last UFC card of the year. It's going to be Derrick Lewis against Chris Daukaus in the main event. It's a decent card overall in terms of fights, names, but I think it's a kind of tricky card for betting. And last week, coming off a great week, we did really well on our picks. We went 13 for 14, and so if you want to get on the Patreon for this week, there's a lot of MMA events going on actually this week. They got CFFC, they got Titan, Fury, ACA, so definitely we'll get a few bets on those promotions in along with the UFC most likely. Last week we did hit some Cage Warriors bets as well, so coming off a pretty good week, and this week hopefully we can do more of the same. So really appreciate all you guys for supporting for the whole year. Hopefully we can continue to grow, get more people coming on the channel, coming on the Patreon for next year, and just keep getting better and better with this. But yeah, really appreciate it. Make sure to hit the like button down below, put a comment down below. Let's try to get a lot of interaction on this video. I feel like with the last video of the year, we should try to blow it up. So I really appreciate it. I don't know, I'll probably do a couple more videos. I know Ryzen is probably going to have the end of the year event or something, and I might throw on a couple more videos. But for the last UFC event of the year here, we got the first fight of the night. So let's get started here with Sayles taking on Jourdain Leavitt. And fun fight. I mean, Jourdain, this is going to be his third appearance of 2021 in the UFC, and he's looking to go 2-1. He had a really good debut. He got that win via slam knockout 22 seconds into the fight, and he was 8-0, but he lost to Claudio Puelles. Now he's 8-1. Kind of did well early on against Puelles and got a little bit tired. It was kind of a grappling match, and Puelles has proven to be a good fighter. I mean, he followed that win up over Jourdain Leavitt with the win over Chris Grutzmacher. Leavitt is the favorite in this fight slightly, I believe, or it might be even money. He was a bigger favorite in his last fight. And Sayles, he's making his return. He hasn't fought in nearly 2 years. He had ACL surgery, he had a baby, and he took a layoff due to that. And during the time, he ballooned up to 250 pounds, so that's something that's a big red flag in my opinion. He wasn't training, he wasn't controlling his diet, he wasn't staying in any sort of shape during that time, and totally let himself go. And now he's going to be fighting at 155, so it's going to be a drastic weight cut. And he says he wants to go back down to 145, so hopefully he can even make the 155-pound limit. This is going to be the second fight for Sayles at lightweight. He did beat Christian Aguilera at that weight, so that's a decent win. Aguilera's fought at welterweight. He fought in the UFC, but Sayles, pressure fighter. He's not the best athlete or fastest guy. Maybe at 155, his speed will be a little bit better than it was at 145, but he has good calf kicks. He likes to use his jab. He throws punches and bunches on the inside and has that big overhand right. He'll rip the body decently. He's effective with that. Good output, and he does try to push the pace. Coming up in weight and all the challenges outside the cage, I do kind of question if he's going to be able to use that game plan of pressure, push the pace, because obviously you have to be in good shape to do that. Sayles doesn't have crazy power. He does have 6 knockouts in his 8 wins, but more of a volume puncher in my opinion. And he is hittable. He'll walk on his shots, but he's durable. He's willing to take some to give some and try to wear opponents out. Grappling-wise, he'll need to have upped a notch to compete on the mat in this fight. He was embarrassed a little bit in the grappling room against Bryce Mitchell. His takedown defense is below average in my opinion, fairly flat-footed, tends to overextend on his right hand, so he does give opportunities for the takedown. And when Bryce Mitchell got him down, he was able to transition with ease. He mounted Sayles, took his back, and eventually got him in a twister position and finished the fight with that. In Sayles' fight with Kyle Nelson, he did end up in a few leg locks and a few leg entanglements, and I feel like if that was Jourdain, potentially could have got the finish there, or definitely swept, got top position, and started to work from there. So he did put himself in some bad positions in that Kyle Nelson fight. He also allowed Kyle Nelson to take him down, take his back, and Nelson was tired. He isn't the greatest grappler himself, so he could not capitalize, but, I didn't feel like his grappling looked the greatest in that fight either, Sayles. And even in a bout with George Hickman, he gave his back, lost round due to getting his back taken, eventually lost that fight via split decision. So grappling has always been an issue for Sayles. Sayles, his cardio has always been decent, but he does tend to get a little bit tired when he's forced to grapple. And with the layoff, with the weight loss, I do question his cardio. Jourdain Leavitt, obviously is a little bit of a specialist. We just saw a guy in a Ryan Hall fight last week, and that's kind of someone that you can point to as a similar type of fighter. Uses a lot of kicks from the outside. Will try to use like a jab or cross, land that level change, and he has pretty decent wrestling. He is pretty strong for the division. I feel like his strength is a little bit underrated. Against Claudio Puelles, he was the one early on that was kind of winning. He got quite a few takedowns. He controlled position in that first round, and he got tired, and Puelles was able to dominate in the grappling in the second and third round. But with Matt Sayles, I feel like if he gets on top, he'll be able to rest more. He'll be able to control the position easier. Won't be as many scrambles. Won't be as many transitions. And he likely could find that submission as well. So Matt Sayles definitely has to keep it on the feet, has to pressure. He has to try to exploit the striking of Jourdain Leavitt, knock him out. We haven't really seen a lot of Jourdain Leavitt on the feet in a lot of his fights, but in this fight, he does have the height advantage. He has the reach advantage. He is fighting in his weight class. Even though he's fought at 145 as well, I feel like those days are behind him, and he is a lightweight at this point. And obviously, Matt Sayles wants to go back to 145. He's been more active, and I'm just more confident that Jourdain Leavitt is going to be able to implement his game plan and probably get the submission, but even if he doesn't, get a decision victory. So I'm going to go with Jourdain Leavitt in this one to get the victory. Oh man, in this fight we got two of these heavyweight fights on this card that are just kind of hard for me to predict. I feel like real low level guys, but Don'Tale Mayes taking on Josh Parisian, and you know, I mean, Don'Tale Mayes 1-2 in the UFC, Parisian's 1-1. Mayes, he got that win over Roque Martinez in his last fight, and he was linked to a fight with Tai Tuivasa in March, but he wasn't medically cleared. I'm not really sure the reason for that. Hasn't fought since then, so it's been over a year since he last fought. He is only 29 years old, so I do feel like, you know, he's a guy that could improve. He has a good frame for the division, 6'6", 81-inch reach. He's fast, he's athletic, and, you know, if he starts to put it all together, he could become a decent fighter. You know, in a range striking fight, he can give issues to a lot of guys when he's fresh. I mean, even if you watch that fight between Don'Tale Mayes and Ciryl Gane, in the first 2.5 minutes, Mayes was doing okay on the feet with Ciryl Gane, and then obviously he hasn't really proven that he could take punishment too well, and his, you know, cardio just falls off a cliff. But he has good movement. He'll switch stances. He has a good jab, and, you know, he works his crosses and kicks fairly effectively. I mean, he'll blitz in and really fast. I feel like he has really fast hands for a heavyweight. Pretty dangerous. He throws with power. In his fight with Roque Martinez, he had a big reach advantage, and he was able to keep the range pretty effectively with front kicks, use a lot of knees to the body, and he'll try to walk guys into strikes like the straight shots and the elbows. So he's an okay striker, but struggles against forward pressure. I mean, guys that could jam his work and back him up, land on him, get him in the pocket. He holds his hands low, his chin is there. They could push him against the cage and kind of work the dirty boxing. And Mayes will try to go to the well with these spinning attacks to try to back guys off, and he can be semi-effective with that, but it can get him in trouble also, and he's very predictable. Making Mayes back up will get him tired quick. He's a huge guy, and he uses a lot of footwork, kicks, taxing style for a guy his size, and he doesn't really defend leg kicks the best. He floats his chin in the pocket, becomes hittable, like I said there. And Ciryl Gane had a lot of success with body kicks against Mayes. I don't really think Mayes is the toughest guy. When he faces adversity, he tends to fold up, and he has been finished in a few of his fights. He got finished against Rodrigo Nascimento. He got finished against Alan Crowder. He got finished against Ciryl Gane. And he has power for sure. He has 5 knockout wins. And he's improved his grappling. In his fight with Roque Martinez, that was the first time I saw Mayes really being offensive. He had a body lock takedown, and he landed some decent ground and pound towards the end of that round. He was able to control in the clinch for parts of that fight. So that was a decent improvement for him. And, Mays has improved his takedown defense and his get-up game. He was able to beat Muhammad Usman. Kamaru Usman's brother defended a lot of his takedowns, showed decent cardio in that fight. And against higher-level wrestlers, I do still think he'll have issues, but he's going to continue to try to improve that. And when he does end up on his back, he has been able to scramble back up to his feet, but he slows down, and that's when guys can get submissions on him if they could take him down more than once. In 3 of his 4 losses, he's gotten tired and been finished on the ground, and definitely has questionable cardio. His last fight, his cardio did look better than in his previous fights, and he has managed to go 3-0 in decisions. He even won a 5-round decision, but I do feel like he slows down. For Josh Parisian, he got a controversial victory in his last fight. He beat Roque Martinez, and that was his first win in the UFC. Previous to that, he had the upset loss to Parker Porter, and Parisian has won 7 of his last 8 fights overall, so is on a pretty good run, I guess you could say, even though I feel like a lot of those have been against low-level competition. But he is looking to make it 2 wins in a row in the UFC, and he's a big guy. I mean, he's 266 pounds, cuts weight to make that heavyweight limit, and, you know, he is a guy that doesn't really have the best hands. I mean, he does have a decent jab, but I feel like he just kind of tries to throw that sloppy overhand right over and over. Kind of throws one shot at a time, not a lot of combinations. He has some okay hooks and uppercuts on the inside, but just doesn't have the best boxing. His defense isn't bad. He shells up when he gets hit. One of these fighters named Marcus Maldine had a lot of success getting on the inside and just being wild using his speed, and he won a lot of exchanges against Josh Parisian. Malding was laying big shots on him against the cage. And even if you look at his last fight, Josh Parisian against Roque Martinez, look at his fight against Parker Porter. Guys pressure, get on the inside, just his defense is not really there. But he does throw a ton of kicks. He'll open up fights a lot with front kicks, round kicks to the body, good low kicks. He'll throw some spinning kicks as well. You know, I just don't really feel like he has the greatest striking overall, but one thing that he does have is he is pretty durable. Like, in terms of, like, I don't like his defense, but he's able to survive, even like he gets hurt, and he can kind of stay in the fight a little bit, and he will keep throwing even when he's exhausted. Like, he'll get tired, his cardio is pretty putrid as well, but lets off a lot of volume and definitely is a fairly tough guy, and he will try to maul fighters in the clinch, get in the clinch, hang on them, and that's kind of where I feel like he's going to try to do in this fight, try to get Dontel Mays, back him up against the cage, like grind on him, use his weight, try to dirty box with him, get him tired, and win that way, and Mays is going to have to, you know, control the distance better than he has in previous fights, know when to kick, know when to punch, and I feel like maybe even try to flip the tables and take Josh Parisian down, because Parisian has really poor takedown defense. We saw Dontel Mays in his last fight get a takedown on Roque Martinez, so maybe he could get a takedown, surprise Parisian early, get him a little bit tired, and then have a little bit easier time with the striking. If I was Parisian in this fight on the feet, I would not really look to open up much. I would just try to work low kicks, high guard pressure, try to back him up into that clinch, and then work the dirty boxing. Mays, you know, try to control distance with his longer reach, and you know, he has the speed advantage, the boxing advantage, and just try to be disciplined, use his striking, and kind of win that way. Both these guys could slow down and fall off a cliff and lose the fight that way too. So it's just one of these fights where on the betting line, since Mays is a big favorite, I guess you would have to go with Parisian. But for me, just as a pick, I'm going to pick Dontel Mays to win a decision in this one. But not a very confident pick in this fight. And I'm not sure, we got a fairly good fight here with Raquel Pennington taking on Macy Chiasson. And Raquel Pennington, she got herself back in the mix a little bit, back-to-back wins. Her last win came over Penny Kianzad, who was on a good roll herself. And she's been in the top 10 really since the inception in the UFC, basically, of the division. I mean, she came in through Tough 18, Rousey vs. Tate show, and Juliana Pena went on to win that show. Roxanne Modafferi was on that show, and Raquel was on that show. And they're the only girls from that show still actively competing. I guess you could throw Meerschaert in there, too. but that was way back in 2013. So it's an accomplishment alone just to be in the UFC for 8 consecutive years. And she outlived that old guard, obviously, and she's starting to fight these newer girls in the division. She beat Irene Aldana, she beat Pannie Kianzad, and now she's facing a girl in Macy Chiasson. And Raquel Pennington, very good boxer, obviously. She has a great jab, and when she can come forward and get in the pocket, she'll throw some pretty good hand combinations. She has good hand speed and fairly good power as well for the division. So on the feet, she wants to box, doesn't really throw many kicks, and her wrestling is okay. I mean, I would say she kind of has average to below average wrestling. I don't really feel like she's going to be able to take down a girl like Macy Chiasson. She's not really a super active wrestler, but she's a tricky submission girl. I mean, like, if she can get it to the ground, she does have a fairly good submission game. And she has really good cardio, durability, so she's going to be there for all 3 rounds. She has had some issues with girls just controlling her in the clinch. Like, we've seen that even in her fight with Marion Renault, who's not really known as a good grappler. She had some success with that. Obviously, Holly Holm won the rematch against Raquel Pennington recently with a lot of clinch control. And Macy Chiasson, she's jumping in here on short notice. She's replacing Julia Avila, and it's a big-time opportunity. Obviously, she's facing a former title challenger here. And beating Raquel Pennington does put you in the mix for a title shot. It's a big fight. And she hasn't fought in a while. She fought in March, and then she was supposed to fight Aspen Ladd a couple times, but she got injured in one of the fights. Then another fight, Aspen Ladd missed weight. Macy didn't want to fight at a catch weight, so both those fights got scrapped, and now she's getting the fight against Pennington. So maybe in hindsight she got a bigger name fight, even though Aspen's a big name too. But Macy's won 2 fights in a row. She's 5-1 in the UFC, and she's improved her striking. She's still very aggressive, but she obviously has that very long reach. She's 5'11". She's gonna have a 4.5-inch reach advantage in this fight, 4-inch height advantage, and she's fast. She's explosive. She closes the gap with power straights, and she's hurt and dropped fighters in the past. She has good dirty boxing, good kicks, good front kicks up the middle. Her leg kicks are decent. And she uses her kicks mainly to back fighters up so she could blitz in with her punches. And that style helps her get in the clinch against the cage, where that's where she's most effective. And she's always coming forward. She can walk into shots, but, and she has that big reach advantage, which does help her blitz in, and she can land a shot from the outside and kind of continue with the combination, but she doesn't really use her reach too effectively. I mean, she does like to be on the inside. Pennington definitely has a strong jab to try to intercept her, but I think Chiasson has more firepower in this fight. Definitely cracks. Like, if they exchange, I think Macy will have the bigger power, and she's a big girl for the division, decent grappler. And she has good clinch work. She has really nice knees to the body, good double underhook. She has a good tie plum. And she lets off a lot of volume in the clinch. Very tall and long, so it helps her be successful there. In terms of wrestling, she's improved, but she's still pretty sloppy with her entries. Muscles a lot of positions. I would try to avoid wrestling a ton with Raquel, because she's not really very good when she ends up on bottom, and Pennington likely could ride out the round if she gets there. But you did see her fight against Marion Renault. She was able to use a leg lock sweep, get on top. So she is improving even in that area. And she is good at kind of catching the back in scrambles. And she has good rear naked chokes, good front chokes. She's finished 3 of her UFC wins. She's gotten 1 rear naked choke. She got 1 finish with knees in the clinch and 1 win with ground and pound. So obviously most of her wins come on, either on the inside, on the feet, or on the ground. She was able to dominate Shayna Young on the ground, control the back basically for the entire 3rd round. But in her fight with Lena Landsberg, kind of had a cardio issue, got tired, allowed Landsberg to start winning the grappling exchanges because she would enter real sloppy. And Landsberg obviously is decent in the clinch herself and was able to get on top of Macy and hold her down. And that was Macy's only fight outside of North America, so maybe that could have played a factor in her cardio. And obviously she cuts a lot of weight to get to 35. This fight's going to be at 145 pounds. So even though it's short notice for Macy, I think that's a big advantage to have the fight up a weight class. She looked really good at 145 on The Ultimate Fighter. And when she fought Pannie Kianzad, she finished her in a fight at 145 pounds. So I think that that's even a better weight class for her potentially. And Raquel hasn't fought in that weight class as a pro. I think that Macy's going to get the upset here. I feel like it's a fight where Raquel wants to box, and obviously you have to get in the inside to box, right? It's not like she's going to have a kicking game plan or be able to stay on the outside. Macy has the reach advantage. I think she has the better clinch work. Raquel could maybe take her down, or if Macy gets tired, she could take over the fight with the forward pressure. But I think Macy's going to come in here and up a weight class, 45s. She's going to have a big-time opportunity. She obviously had those fights with Asbadlad scheduled, so she's had to been working on her wrestling and her grappling even more, man. And I think she's going to be able to get the win here. I think she's younger, more athletic, a little bigger, and I think the fight favors her a little bit. So I'm going to go with Macy to get the upset victory. Man, I mean, this is what I mean. Like, this is another fight where it's like, talk about a fight that's tough to bet on, man. Charles Jourdain versus Andre Ewell. I mean, man, I don't even know if you guys should take my advice on the pick on this fight. I've been wrong with these guys a lot of times, man. I mean, they're tough guys for me to kind of figure out. Charles Jourdain, a young guy. I mean, obviously he has potential and, you know, very aggressive. He'll throw these wild attacks and, you know, really has a wide arsenal of offense on the feet, but no composure. He crashes the distance, jams a lot of his work, can get himself in the clinch, can run onto shots, can get taken down. Missed weight in his last fight, has not really been the greatest in his UFC run, so it's hard to get behind a guy like that. His grappling is actually decent in terms of he has a good submission game. Like, he will attack submissions, but we've seen him get taken down, held down, lose rounds due to that. And, you know, obviously his fight with Julian Erosa, he got submitted. He got a little bit tired, and Erosa, you know, just stayed in his face, grinded him down, and submitted him. Usually it's Jourdain that can pick it up in that third round, but against Erosa, a guy that pressured him, jammed his kicks, stayed in his face, you know, gave him a lot of issues. And with Andre Ewell, I mean, this is a guy that I backed a lot of times, and he's burned me, man. I mean, I feel like I like his style. He's a southpaw. He's slick, fast hands, good movement, long reach. But I don't know. Something's missing with the guy. Sometimes when he starts to get hit, it starts to go downhill. He doesn't really make adjustments too well. He slows down in fights. He struggles sometimes against leg kicks, against body kicks. He recently, you know, has lost 2 fights in a row. He just got finished by Julio Arce. He's moving up to 145. So a lot of question marks with him as well. He's almost 34 years old, Andre Ewell. So I do feel like maybe the weight cut could have been a lot for him. I mean, he's a big guy, but man, I mean, this is a tough one for me because I feel like Jourdain could run onto these big shots from the southpaw, you know, the big left hand, and Jourdain could get starched or something, but Ewell hasn't really shown that huge knockout power. He doesn't really throw a ton of volume, slows down. And I think Jourdain, I mean, I'm just going to go with him. He's the younger guy. I think he's more aggressive. He has the more finishing ability. I think he's a little bit more, a little bit better on the ground as well. So I'm just going to go with Jourdain here in this one. But this is a fight I would stay far away from. I'm not really a big fan of this fight here. And up next here we got Sijara Eubanks taking on Melissa Gatto. And Sijara Eubanks, she returned to flyweight earlier this year. She got a dominant win. She got a little bit of a soft touch. I mean, she faced Elise Reed. Elise Reed is a strawweight. She was coming into her UFC debut in that one. But Eubanks has been a different animal at flyweight. I memean, overall, you look at her record, she's 7-6. But if you include the Ultimate Fighter, Eubanks is 6-1 at flyweight. She's 6-0 in the UFC at flyweight. She's defeated fighters such as Lauren Murphy, Roxanne, who are in the top 10 of the division. And her one loss was to Caitlin Chukagian, who's arguably the second best girl in that weight class. So obviously has done very well there. For Melissa Gatto, she returned from her USADA suspension, and she didn't miss a beat. She demolished Victoria Leonardo, and she was able to get a finish via doctor stoppage. Leonardo broke her arm, didn't go into the third round. Gatto, she's an interesting prospect. That was her first fight in nearly 3 years. She is undefeated, but she has 2 draws. Her best win is against Carol Rosa, but outside of that, she hasn't really fought many notable fighters. She went to a draw with Cindy Rocha, who's kind of a journeyman type of fighter. But she's only 25 years old, and she could have, showed some decent improvements against Victoria Leonardo. One thing I do I see a lot of people going with Gatto in this one, and I'm not on that train. I'm going with Sijara Eubanks on this fight. We see Melissa Gatto, and she looked good against Leonardo. She was pressured forward. I still feel like she doesn't really have great striking. She's flat-footed. She's pretty stiff. Her, it didn't seem like her striking was very good to me. She is long, and, she'll try to throw some kicks and some straight shots, but I think Eubanks is significantly better with the striking. One thing I do think that Gatto has over Eubanks is she kind of has that, that favela in her, I guess you could say. Like, she's tough, she'll come forward, and it seems like she'll take shots and keep coming, and she has better cardio. So if it gets into like a dogfight type of thing, maybe she could kind of win that type of thing on the feet against Eubanks. But with Melissa Gatto, she's one of these girls that has a lot of faith in her jiu-jitsu, and I mean, there's obviously a reason why. She has a lot of submission wins. She's very good on bottom, good scrambles, good arm bars, good triangles, good sweeps, and when she gets on top, she can finish the fight too. So Eubanks has to be careful, but Gatto does give up the takedown. She doesn't really have great offensive wrestling either, and I think Eubanks is going to take her down and just control her on the ground. I mean, I saw Cindy Rocha do that. And Sijara Eubanks, she's a Jiu-Jitsu world champion herself. She's a black belt for a long time. And I don't really see Melissa Gatto catching her with a submission off of her back. Don't really see her getting a sweep, getting on top. I think Eubanks will coast in this fight. I think unless she totally gasses out, she's going to look fairly dominant here. I mean, I don't think it's going to be the craziest performance in the world, but I think Eubanks is just going to hold her down, control position, and win the fight. So I'm going to go with Sijara Eubanks to continue the dominance that she's had at 125 pounds. And I was saying, there was another heavyweight fight similar to the Mazars-Parisian fight, and, here we go. We got Justin Tafa against Harry Hunsucker. Justin Tafa is a huge favorite. I can't justify that. I mean, the guy got knocked out by Yorga de Castro. He just made Jared Vanderaa look like a K1, kickboxing world champion. So it's like, man, it's tough. But I guess you could say he did beat Juan Adams, knocked him out. He did have a close decision with Carlos Felipe. So he's definitely proven more than Harry Hunsucker. Harry Hunsucker, I mean, hasn't fought anyone of note that he's defeated in his 2 losses where he stepped up a competition. He actually did okay against Vanderaa, I would say. I mean, he was landing some decent shots early. Kind of looked like he maybe rocked Vanderaa a couple times, but got real tired quick and, got taken down. And one thing I'll give Harry Hunsucker is had a long time to train for this camp, so maybe he'll come in better shape here. I mean, his 2 fights, the one with Tai Tuivasa where he got finished quickly, and the one with Jared Vanderaa that I just spoke about, he had 4 days notice for those fights. So obviously he didn't have a training camp, didn't have time to get in good shape, and who knows what he was doing before that, before accepting the bouts. So this one, hopefully he'll look better, have a better performance. And one thing about Harry Hunsucker, I mean, the guy has fast hands and he closes the distance. He'll throw wild shots. And I mean, Justin Tafa, he has some power. I don't think he's quite as fast, but more technical, and I think the leg kicks are going to be a big factor for him. I don't have a lot of faith in either guy in this fight. I know that Harry Hunsucker is the big underdog. I wouldn't be super shocked if he gets the knockout, but I'm going to go with the smarter pick. I'm just going to pick Justin Tafa, first round finish. Hunsucker just hasn't beaten anyone at that level, and I mean, Juan Adams isn't that great either, but at least Tafa had that fight with Felipe, and I feel like he is a little bit more technical. Unless he gets hit with a crazy shot in the first few minutes, he'll probably be able to kind of settle into the fight, find his shot, and take out Hunsucker or, add up the leg kicks. But this is one I would not be shocked if Hunsucker pulled off a big upset, And in this next fight, we got a fairly interesting fight. We got the debut of Victor Henry in the UFC, which has been a long time coming for a lot of fans. A lot of people have wanted to see him in the UFC for a while. He's been calling for it for a long time, and he didn't get an easy fight, man. He's taking on Raoni Barcelos, who is coming off his first loss in a long time, where had a fight with Timur Valiev, where I felt like he was the better fighter. He hurt Valiev really badly, but just that Valiev had more volume and didn't pull the trigger and kind of lost to one of these close decisions. So I'm sure he's kicking himself after that fight, and he's going to want to get a finish or, look dominant in this one and have a better performance. But his opponent is tough, man. I mean, Victor Henry is going to be very motivated. Obviously, 34 years old. He's had 26 fights. He's fought in Japan a lot. He, has beaten some UFC level guys, and he feels like he's ready for this moment, this opportunity. He's not going to go away easy. He's never been finished in his career. And he's one of these guys that's trained by Josh Barnett. He has that catch wrestling style. His striking, he's improved it a little bit. I mean, he likes to try to land that straight cross counter. He'll try to mix in some kicks and really marches forward. He tries to throw a lot of volume to try to kind of disguise his level changes. And his wrestling is, to me, it's not the highest level wrestling, but he can kind of get guys tired and then grind them down. And he has great cardio, and his durability is very, very good. But walks onto a lot of big shots. He doesn't check leg kicks. I think that's going to be a big issue in the fight. And he also allows himself to be taken down. And I feel like he almost does that on purpose. Or if he doesn't, he just has poor takedown defense. But he's able to kind of keep scrambling back up to his feet. And then guys get tired. And then he can more take over the fight. But against a guy like Raoni Barcelos, I think he's in for a bad fight, man. I mean, Raoni Barcelos is super fast twitch. Great speed. I think he's way faster than Henry. His striking is top notch. He has big power, huge leg kicks, which I think are going to be a big factor in the fight. He has really good wrestling as well. He can take the fight down to the ground, take the back. Henry gives his back and maybe get a rear naked choke or a finish there. And I just think Barcelos is the way better martial artist in this fight. I mean, you just can't let Henry, steal minutes by being more active and kind of doing his, combinations, level change thing, even though if the shots aren't that effective, you just got to kind of try to match the output or land big shots to get Henry to slow down his own output. And I think he'll be able to do that fairly easily. I think Barcelos, one of the safer picks on the card. I got to go with him in this one. He, in my opinion, is one of the better bantamweights, and I think he'll show that here. And with this next fight, we got a battle of two guys that are grapplers. We got Gerald Meerschaert and Dustin Stoltzfus. Gerald Meerschaert, he's a veteran in the UFC at this point. He's actually an overachiever, in my opinion. If you look at his last fight, huge underdog, went out there, upset Makhmud Muradov. He was able to get a quick submission win over Bartosz Fabinski as well. So 2 submission wins in a row, and he has the most submissions in the history of the middleweight division in the UFC. So that's something you always have to be careful of when you're fighting a guy like Gerald Meerschaert. And he obviously has had some issues with his chin recently. He got knocked out early against Chimaev. He got knocked out early against Ian Heinisch. But outside of that, I mean, in fights that have went longer, obviously Thiago Santos knocked him out way back in the day, or a few years ago, but he went to a split decision with Anders. A lot of people felt like he won that one. Split decision with Kevin Holland. A lot of people felt like he won that fight as well. So he's mixed it with some high-level guys. Obviously, he got that win over Muradov his last fight. And GM3, he has a long reach. He's a tall guy. He has fairly good boxing skill. Good jab, good two. He does a good job of going to the body to set up his headshots. And his boxing is decent. He has some power in his hands, and he throws that big left kick. He's southpaw, and he's a little bit slow. He's a little bit hittable, but he's shown fairly good durability throughout his career. Obviously, like I said, his chin failed him in those couple fights, but he took some shots against Muradov and kept coming, and he's able to kind of start to be more effective with his boxing when guys slow down a little bit. And he obviously is always looking for the takedown, so it opens up his hands a little bit as well. And Dustin Stoltzfus, I'm not too impressed with his boxing or his striking at all. I mean, he's fairly flat-footed. He does throw some power kicks. I'll give him that. He has some nice leg kicks, some good body kicks. But his hands, to me, are not the best. I mean, big overhands. Seems like it's pretty easy to see his shots coming. He loads up. He overextends on his punches. His takedown defense doesn't look the best. I mean, it seems like he can get taken down against the cage fairly well, or fairly easily. He got submitted against Ferreira. He kind of got grinded out against Chris Daukaus, got outboxed very easily, outstruck. And Daukaus is another guy that grapple first, southpaw, long reach. I feel like he's very similar to Gerald Meerschaert, and I think Meerschaert could win on the feet. I think he's going to be able to hit the body lock, maybe get the submission as well. I just feel like he's a little bit of a level above Stoltzfus. I think they could have gave him a better opponent here. He was supposed to fight this Russian guy debuting, but he pulled out. And then Stoltzfus was supposed to fight Anthony Hernandez, and Hernandez pulled out, so they just mashed them up together. But obviously Stoltzfus, he's 0-2 in the UFC, hasn't gotten a win yet. And Meerschaert, he's a long-time veteran in the UFC, 2-fight win streak. So I just got to go with Meerschaert here. I think that he's just a notch above Stoltzfus everywhere, and I think that probably be able to get that body lock, take the back, and get a finish here. And, I mean, if you're an MMA fan, how could you not like this fight, man? It's two OGs kicking it off on the main card. We got Darren the Damage Elkins taking on Killer Cub Swanson. And both these guys, 37, 38 years old, long-time veterans in the UFC. I mean, they both have 20-plus fights in the organization. Darren Elkins, he's probably, one of the best grinders in the history of that featherweight division. He has the most takedowns in the division's history. He just has unbelievable ability to take shots. I mean, they don't call him the Damage for nothing, and is able to break these guys with his pressure, his pace, his wrestling, and he's gotten a lot of wins in the UFC, man, just through that. I believe he has a 16-8 UFC record. For Killer Cub Swanson, he's a black belt as well. I feel like he has underrated grappling skills. I mean, he's been submitted quite a few times, but when you look at the list of the guys that have submitted him, I mean, I think 3 of the 5 guys have been UFC world champions, and then he got submitted by Ricardo Lamas and Brian Ortega. So, I mean, those are no slouches, man. So, Cub Swanson, he obviously has fought like a higher level of competition than Elkins, even though they're both longtime veterans of the sport. But now they're kind of getting into this point where they could start doing these legend fights. So it's a good matchup. I mean, both guys could get the victory here, and they both fight way different styles. I mean, Cub's a striker. He likes to move. And in this fight, he's going to have to use his movement. He's going to be the much faster guy. He's going to, be able to kind of pot shot from the outside. I would work a lot of leg kicks. Even though Cub isn't a big leg kicker, he used them against Crone, and I would use them here against Elkins. Try to not really throw as many body kicks or high kicks, because Elkins is going to be looking to crash, and catch those kicks, get the takedown. And, Elkins on the feet, he's really slowing down. I feel like his striking is really digressed. He much more hittable. His boxing has gotten better technically, but his hands are not even as fast as they used to be, and he's never been the fastest guy. And he just walks onto a lot of shots, but he still has that epic durability, and he's still able to eventually get in on the takedown. He has a great double, really good body lock. He can catch the back pretty effectively, and when he gets the fight to the ground, he could usually control, work his ground and pound, got the finish in his last fight. Has a couple submissions, but really more of a guy that grinds you down and gets the decision win, man. And, this would be the best win of his career, though, in my opinion. Like I said, he's fought more of a lower-level competition. Like, his best victory, I guess you could argue, is probably Michael Johnson. In his entire career, that's probably the best guy that he's ever defeated. I think Cub Swanson's a notch above that. And Cubs obviously faced and defeated some really good grapplers. Like, he did beat Charles Oliveira, and he did beat Crone Gracie, beat Daniel Pineda recently. Those guys are both grapplers. And Elkins, I mean, I think he could get some takedowns, but I don't really feel like he's going to be able to hold down Cub Swanson. Cub Swanson could get tired, but I think that'll happen maybe in the third round. And Cub's always been that guy, man, that comes in fairly good shape, and you're not going to break someone like Cub Swanson or Elkins. Both these guys are unbreakable, so it's not going to be like his last fight with Elkins where Derek Minner's will got broken. I don't see that happening with Cub Swanson. Even though Cub lost his last fight, he gets Giga Chikadze, a top 5 guy. This fight's much more winnable, man, and I'm going to go with Cub, man. I just feel like I said, even if Elkins takes him down, he isn't a big submission threat. I think Cub can work his way back up to his feet, and I think on the feet he's going to be way faster, land the more damaging shots, land some leg kicks, and be way more effective. And even if Elkins can kind of win that third round with his cardio, I think the first 2 are going to be there for Cub. And if you watch the fight with Crone, he did throw a lot of volume. He defended a lot of takedowns. His cardio looked sharp in that one. He was able to outlast Daniel Pineda. So I think Cub could get the win in this one, and I think he could win via decision. And up next, this is good matchmaking. This is a fun fight. I think it's a good progression fight for Matuesz Gamrot. Matuesz Gamrot's obviously 19-1, 2-1 in the UFC now, and his last 2 performances have been very good. He fought 2 established veterans in the UFC. He fought Scott Holtzman, fought Jeremy Stevens, has gotten 2 finishes. Diego Ferreira, he's kind of on the other end of the spectrum. He had a big win streak where he won 6 fights in a row. He capped it off beating guys like Rustam Kabalov. He beat Marbek Taisimov. He beat Anthony Pettis. But recently he fought Beneil Dariush. He got taken down, grinded out in that one. Then he fought Gregor Gillespie, and that was an amazing fight. First round he almost got the finish. He took his back near the end of the round, but Gregor Gillespie, outlasted him, man. Second round he was able to tire him out, take him down, and finish him on the mat. So kind of broke Diego Ferreira in that fight, which I think is a factor in this fight. When you get broken like that, I feel like it does carry on into your subsequent fights. And another thing is he is older. He's almost 37 years old, Diego Ferreira. He did miss weight by almost 5 pounds for his last fight, so the weight cut is definitely an issue for him, I believe. He's missed weight more than once as well. But Diego Ferreira, he's a beast, man. I mean, the guy's a hard guy to beat because he comes forward. He's very durable. He has elite level cardio. Even though he did gas out in his last fight, the pace that those guys put on was incredible. And he's very hard to hold down. He has elite jiu-jitsu, so he tries to, when you take him down, create these scrambles, get right back up to his feet, stay right back in your face, or sweep, get on top. And when he takes the back, he's super dangerous. He could finish the fight against anyone from the back position. So he doesn't really have a lot of power on the feet, which that does kind of diminish the effectiveness of his style. But he has the durability, the cardio, and the pressure, and he throws a lot of volume so he can break guys and eventually take him out either on the ground or via TKO. And for Matuesz Gamrot, more economical, he's more technical. He's a guy that kind of likes to pot shot from the outside. He has really good straight punches, decent kicks, good leg kicks, and then he likes to time the takedown, control on top. He's not as big of a submission threat, even though he did submit Jeremy Stevens quickly. I doubt he'll be able to submit a guy like Diego Ferreira unless he just gets him completely gassed out, which his style isn't taxing like that, in my opinion, to do that. And, he's more of just control guy on the ground, but he is an ADCC champion himself. He is very adept in the jiu-jitsu realm, so Diego is not just going to be able to dominate him on the ground if he gets on top. And on the feet, he doesn't really have the biggest power, but he did hurt Scott Holtzman, and he's pretty sharp. He's precise. One thing I think is going to be potentially an issue in this fight is if Diego could stuff the takedown, because a lot of Gamrot's game is just uses that pot-shotting style, kind of punches and runs on you, and then when you try to get in range, he takes you down, controls you from the top position, and can gain minutes of, control and win the round that way. But if Diego can just stuff the takedowns and stay in his face, throw combinations, Gamrot doesn't really throw a lot of combinations in the pocket. He's not as good, and that's where Diego can start to get ahead here in this fight. I just don't know if he's going to be able to stop the takedowns. Diego's takedown defense has never really been very good. It's just that his get-up game is really good and elite, and I don't know if that's going to be enough against Gamrot, because Gamrot's another one of these fighters that comes in super conditioned, and I think that Gamrot is going to be able to time the takedown when Diego gets on the inside, get on top. If Diego scrambles back up to his feet, he's not going to lose that much energy. He's just going to keep striking in his economical way, eventually get the takedown again. And maybe as the fight goes on, you'll be able to control Diego a little easier. So I'm going to go with Gamrot in this one. I think that he's going to be able to pick up the victory. I think it'll be a decision win. But, the line is a little bit wide in my opinion. I think it could be a little bit closer. But a lot of people are fairly confident Gamrot's going to pick up the win. And I'm on that train as well. I'm going to go with Matuesz Gamrot. And up next, we got another fight that's real tricky in my opinion. This is one of these fights I see a lot of people with extreme confidence on Ricky Simón, and I'm not that confident. I mean, when you see this fight on paper, obviously the main thing that pops out of you right away is that Ricky Simón is 10 years younger. That's a big factor. But, just style-wise, Raphael Assunscao has a tough style to beat for Ricky Simón, man. I mean, the guy's a really good counter-striker. He is one of the best counter-strikers at 135 in the history of the division, man. I mean, if you look at some of the guys that he's defeated, he has to be up there in terms of top 10 bantamweights of all time. And Ricky Simone's a guy that comes in head first, man. He takes a lot of shots, very hittable, and he's a grinder. He wants to take you down, control you on the mat. And I haven't really seen any fighter that's been able to really do that against Raphael Assunscao. I mean, Assunscao's been in there with guys like Aljamain Sterling, guys like Brian Caraway, TJ Dillashaw, and none of them have been able to just take him down and grind him out like that. He's always been able to pop right back up to his feet. Even when he did get taken down, his takedown defense, his distance control is top notch, and he has power in his hands. I mean, he maybe doesn't throw a lot of volume, and that's why he doesn't have the most knockouts, but if you pressure him, you're coming in head first like a guy like Ricky Simone, you're going to get hit, and you probably aren't going to be able to take too many of those big shots from Raphael Assunscao. I mean, Raphael Assunscao does kind of predicate his game, though, in a lot of, footwork, being able to pull counter, speed. Obviously counterpunching takes speed, and when you get older, you're almost 40 years old, that's going to start waning a little bit. Assunscao's been getting hit more on the chin. He has been losing more of these boxing exchanges that he usually would never lose. And, Cody Garbrandt highlight reel knocked him out in his last fight. That was over a year ago, so he has taken some adequate time to recover from that. But it's not going to fully go away. Obviously, Marlon Moraes in the rematch. Raphael was able to beat Marlon the first time they fought. The rematch, Marlon caught him early with a big shot, dropped him, and then submitted him. So Ricky Simone, even though he's more of a grappler, he does throw, those big hooks. He likes to throw that big lead left hook. He'll mix it to the body and to the head, and he'll try to throw the left hook overhand right. He comes forward and try to mix in the wrestling. And I honestly feel like someone's going to get knocked out in this fight. I know that Ricky, more of a decision guy, so is Raphael Assunscao. But, Assunscao's chin has been kind of not really being the best recently. But I just don't see Ricky Simone just being able to take him down and control him on the ground, hold him down. I don't really see that happening. I think it's going to be Assunscao, using his distance control, keeping it on the feet. And if he does get taken down, popping right back up to his feet. But it's just, I don't know if I trust his chin, man. I feel like Ricky can maybe land a big shot first and hurt Assunscao. So this is a tough fight for me to call, man. I feel like it should be aligned way closer. I think Assunscao is a live underdog, but I'm going to go with Ricky Simone. I'm going to think that him being younger, faster, he's going to catch Assunscao, knock him out, and get the win. I mean, it's a tough matchup, though, but yeah, I just got to go with Ricky Simone here. I just can't pick Assunscao, man. And in this next fight, we got Amanda Lemos. She's going to be making a return, taking on Angela Hill. And she's kind of been a darling for a lot of UFC fans since she's came back. Won 4 fights in a row at strawweight. She lost her debut in the UFC. That was up at bantamweight against Leslie Smith. And, she's been able to get 3 finishes since she's moved down to strawweight. Her last 2 in the first round. First round knockout. She got that first round submission over Miranda Granger as well. Her one fight that went the distance against Mizuki Inoue, she won 30-27. So, been very dominant. And Angela Hill, she's had some bad luck, man. I mean, she actually was in a good position before that Tecia Torres fight. She had come off those losses to Claudia and Michelle Waterson, but a lot of people felt like those were victories. And then she did go in there against Ashley Yoder and dominated over 3 rounds. So she was looking pretty good. And went in there with Tecia Torres. She was confident, but Torres won very easily on her. Very just dominant decision win for Torres. So it really kind of pushed the stock back of Angela Hill. And Hill is coming in here on short notice, so it's short notice Hill. She's done really good in these short notice fights, and I think she kind of has to change her style up to win this one, though. I mean, with Amanda Lemos, she's a counter striker, very fast. She has great kicks. She's very heavy on that lead leg, and she tries to, sit down on her counter straights. She has a heavy jab. She has big power in both of her hands. I mean, and she just, likes to wait for you, kind of land those counter crosses. You come in, throw big kicks from range. And usually, girls either walk on a shot or get knocked out, or they don't really want to, enter that range, and it becomes kind of more of a decision fight. But what you have to do with a girl like Amanda Lemos, was shown by Leslie Smith. You got to cross the distance. You got to make it ugly. You got to be willing to take the shots to get into the clinch or to throw combinations. Lemos doesn't really throw a lot of combos. And in the pocket, she does have her hands low or chin high, so she is hittable in that area. She also doesn't really have the best clinch work. You can beat her in the clinch. You can get her in that tie clinch, land knees. You can hold her against the cage. We saw Mizuki Inoue have a lot of success holding her against the cage. But Lemos does have, her wrestling isn't really the best. I mean, I've seen her body lock some girls. She's very physically strong. She was able to get that takedown and submission on Granger, but most of the time she likes to just keep it on the feet, strike from range. Angela Hill likes to do the same. She likes to use her kick. She's very fast, speedy. She does a good job keeping the volume high, pressuring. But in this fight, I think she has to go back to her Muay Thai roots, man. Get in the clinch. Try to make the fight rough, take shots. I mean, she's proven to be super durable. No one's been able to knock her out. And if she's willing to go in there and take the damage, close the gap, get in the clinch, she'll probably be a little bit superior in the clinch. She's worked a lot on her grappling recently. Maybe she'll try to hit a takedown or two. I feel like that's what she has to go to. I mean, she's been working on it for so many years. Talking about working on it, saying she's really upped her game in the grappling. Well, let's see it in this fight. Use your grappling, use the clinch work, use the takedowns, and win this fight this way. Because if you stay at range with a girl like Lemos, I think she's going to light her up. She just has the power advantage. She's sharp. She has good counters. And she's just going to land hard and land heavy. And I don't think Hill's going to like that power. I've seen Hill kind of have big reactions to power shots against girls like Andrade as well. And I think that Lemos isn't going to put her lights out or anything because Hill's a veteran and she knows, kind of how to control distance, knows how to stay safe. But if they fight at range, I think she'll take a lot of damage and Lemos will win fairly easily. But Hill has a path to victory. She just has to be able to be willing to go to it. And I'm just not I'm not going to pick Hill because I've never seen her win with a grappling game plan like that. And for me to kind of expect that is a little bit out of the realm possibility. At 36 years old, almost 37, to change it up and win a fight like that, it would be impressive. I think she maybe has the ability to do it, but I don't think it's going to be done. So I'm going to go with Amanda Lemos to win via fairly dominant decision. And in the co-main event here, we got a welterweight fight. We got Stephen Wonderboy Thompson taking on Belal Muhammad. And Stephen Thompson, I mean, he's a little bit older, but there's no, talks to him slowing down. If you listen to his media day today, he was talking about he wanted to be the oldest fighter to fight in UFC history, and still feels great. But his last fight against Gilbert Burns snapped his 2-fight win streak. He came back and got some nice wins. He beat Jeff Neal, he beat Vicente Luque, but Gilbert Burns kind of showed that chink in his armor once again, which is the wrestling, the grappling. Gilbert Burns was able to take him down, dominate him with that. And Belal Muhammad, he's in an interesting spot. I mean, his last 2 fights have been interesting, man. I mean, he fought Damian Maia, who's probably the best grappler in the UFC in that division for sure. And then now he's fighting Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, who's the best striker in the division and arguably in the UFC. So, fighting 2 really elite specialists, 2 different type of fighters. And it's definitely a challenge, but I feel like it probably makes it easier for him to game plan for the fights. He obviously knows Steven's not going to shoot a takedown, and he knew Damian wasn't going to go out there and knock him out. So, I mean, at least he knows exactly what his opponent's going to try to do. He is a big underdog in this one, but he's the younger guy, and he's more, on a roll recently. I mean, he hasn't lost in quite a while, whereas Stephen Thompson has lost 3 of his last 5 fights. But when you see Stephen Thompson, you know exactly what he's going to do, obviously. He's going to use that karate style, great distance control, excellent kicks, really good speed, really good counters with his hands. He keeps it long. His jab is excellent. And just if you keep him at range and you strike with him on the feet, he's going to just beat you up all night. He has great cardio, throws really good combinations. His defense is excellent. His chin has proven to be really good. He's only been finished 1 time in his career. And just an excellent fighter on the feet. I mean, the guy's elite. His takedown defense is good too. I feel like Gilbert Burns is one of these guys that's one of the better wrestlers in that division. He's super explosive as well, super fast, athletic, very strong. I don't really see Belal Muhammad as the same type of explosive athlete as Gilbert Burns. And Belal Muhammad hasn't really taken down a lot of opponents. He hasn't really had that type of game plan. Belal Muhammad likes to, come forward, use his striking, pressure, durability. He has good cardio. He has good clinch work. And he can kind of wear these guys down, and he does mix in the takedowns from time to time. It seems like he has good reactive takedowns and things like that. But I don't know, man. I'm just leaning towards Stephen Wonderboy in this fight. I think that he's just going to be able to control the range. He's going to be the significantly better striker. He's going to be faster with the better footwork. I don't think that Belal is quite as dangerous on the feet as a guy like Gilbert Burns, so maybe Stephen won't be as worried about getting on the inside or coming forward and being more aggressive. And I don't think Belal has quite as good at takedowns. He's not as explosive, in my opinion, not as strong. I think Stephen Thompson could bounce back here and get the win. If he doesn't, if he looks real slow, I mean, at one point, Stephen Thompson, almost 39 years old, I did say, he wouldn't be the oldest fighter in UFC history, but he's going to fall off the cliff at some point. I mean, even his style is not really that good for an older guy, so I just don't think it's going to be this fight, though. I think he's going to be able to do enough to take out Belal Muhammad. Maybe Belal Muhammad will get the win, and if he does, he's going to be right there in the mix, but I don't really know if Belal Muhammad's that level of fighter. He's going to have to prove it to me here, so I'm going to go with Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. And then finally, we got a banger in the main event. We got Derrick the Black Beast Lewis. He's coming back after a pretty embarrassing performance his last fight, and he's going to be taking on Chris Daukaus, who has done nothing but win in the UFC. He's gotten 3 first-round knockouts in a row, and he's fighting a really high-level opponent now. And Derrick Lewis, or not 3 first-round, he had 3 first-round knockouts in a row, and then he beat, I think the Shamil fight went into the second round, but Derrick Lewis, his last fight, had the title fight, interim title fight against Cyril Gahn in his hometown, Houston, Texas, and just didn't perform. One of the worst performances of his career, and he got completely nullified and finished in the 4th round, and seemed like he quit, man. It didn't really seem like he just didn't want to be in there anymore, and it was a real bad performance on the part of Derrick Lewis, so he definitely needs to have a good showing here. Obviously, Derrick Lewis, I mean, the guy has proven himself as one of the more elite heavyweights. Even though his skills aren't there, he's just a beast, man. I mean, the Black Beast is a great nickname for him, but amazing power, great ability to take shots and kind of stick in the fight, kind of underrated fight IQ in my opinion. His grappling is underrated because if you take him down, he can just stand right back up, and guys don't want to go for a lot of submissions on the guy because if you end up on bottom on Derrick Lewis, he probably has the best ground and pound in that division. He could punch a hole through your head, so it's just dangerous. I mean, the guy, he needs one shot to win the fight. Even though his striking, isn't the best, he's sneaky explosive, and his power is always there. So it's just like, be very careful. And with Chris Daukaus, I mean, he's definitely more of a boxer. I mean, I've never really seen him throw any kicks. He has really good hands. I mean, he definitely is a superior boxing. I mean, if they just said who has the better boxing technique, it would be Chris Daukaus all day. He has really fast hands, throws nice combinations, he rips the body, really good straight punches. He is very technical, but the thing about Chris Daukaus is he does take shots, man. I mean, I've seen him get caught and, coming in. He's more, like I said, a boxer, and he closes that gap, so he's going to be getting in the pocket. He doesn't have the reach advantage. So, I mean, it's not like he's going to be shying away from Lewis. If he's running away, I don't really know I don't think he has that type of style to stick and move, really. I don't really feel like he has that. He is a black belt in jiu-jitsu, but if he takes down Derrick Lewis, I don't really see him being able to do much. I don't think he's going to be able to hold him down or submit him, and it could only get him tired, in my opinion. I think Lewis will be able to work back up to his feet, and Chris Daukaus, I mean, it's just tough for me to pick him in this fight, honestly. I know a lot of people are picking him. He is the favorite, but the guy's got knocked out twice by guys that are not very good. I mean, he got knocked out by Zhu Yanwu in 2017, and a lot of his fights in the UFC has been in the first round. He's been able to get these guys out of there real quick, and they've been lower-level guys. Most of them have been grapplers as well, like Parker Porter, his fight with Nascimento, his fight with Alexei Oleinik. Derrick Lewis, man, this guy's the most dangerous guy he's fought by a country mile, and Derrick Lewis could take damage. He's going to have to get in the danger zone with Derrick Lewis. It's not like I said, he's not like he's going to be able to take him down or strike at range. It's not like a Cyril Gahn that could use kicks and beat him up on the outside. Daukaus has some okay, low kicks, I guess, but I don't think I think Derrick Lewis is going to catch this guy, man, over 5 rounds at one point, and I think he's going to knock him out. So I'm going to go with Derrick Lewis, the Black Beast, as the underdog in this fight. I feel like he should be the favorite. He has so much more high-level experience. Chris Daukaus hasn't really fought anybody of note, man. I mean, he's fought Alexei Oleinik, who's much older, and then he fought Abdurakhimov, who's an older guy as well. But Derrick Lewis, I think, is on another level in terms of level of competition that he's faced and just experience and everything like that, this isn't a Ciryl Gane, man. I think Derrick Lewis is going to catch him, knock him out in this fight. So I'm going with the underdog in the main event. I'm going with Derrick Lewis. So that's the breakdown for the full card fight night. Derrick Lewis versus Chris Daukaus, UFC Vegas 45. As far as my parlay of the week goes, I'm going to do a parlay with Gerald, Meerschaert, and Raoni Barcelos here. Most confident pick on the card is Raoni Barcelos. So thanks for watching, guys. Once again, hit the like button. Put a comment down below. I really want you guys to get some engagement going on this video. That would be much appreciated. And outside of that, man, I hope everyone has a really good Christmas, really good Happy New Year if you're celebrating that. And yeah, anyone that watches the channel, man, I fuck with you. So, yeah, man, really appreciate it. You guys are awesome. And, yeah, I'll see you guys soon. I'll talk to you guys soon later.